Welcome back, everyone, to state-sponsored conspiracy podcast, statsponconpod for short.
Statsponconpod.
That's the nickname we're kind of trying to push right now. If you could help spread that.
I still can't say it right, so it's hard.
This is the only podcast that is openly funded by the federal government. We do have to use code names for that reason. There are people who are out to get us, extremists. Obviously, your code name for this episode will be Mel Gibson, and I will be Wes Anderson, because I feel like those directors, like that really accurately reflects you and then me.
Well, I think I like Wes Anderson more than you do.
It's too late. It's already settled. We're moving on. We are going to talk about an American hero today named William Henry Johnson. Have you ever heard of this man?
I think he was the 20th president?
Incorrect.
Okay.
Nobody has heard of William Henry Johnson because he is a very underrated grifter, scammer, conspiracy theorist, kind of, who was working in the 40s and the 50s. His scam was from 46 to 56. So it was he had a good run of his scam.
Post World War II.
Yeah. And very little is known about him. You will not find much about this guy. He is mentioned in the book More Offbeat Kentuckians. And there is also an entry on him in the Notable Kentuckians database. Noticing
a pattern here.
Yes, he lived in Kentucky. He was a 61-year-old coal miner I believe that was when he was caught. So he was kind of an old man doing this.
The old coal grift.
The grift of pulling coal up out of the mines and selling it to people. He was a part-time preacher as well. He was black.
Whoa.
He was an African-American gentleman.
Thank you.
We could say. And he was described, there's no pictures of him, unfortunately, because again, he's very underrated. But a court witness described him as being, quote, a tall, full-faced man with a strong, convincing tone, which basically makes him sound like a Chad.
I just don't think it's a vague description of a guy. I feel like that description could fit you, but I wouldn't call you a Chad.
I wouldn't say that I have a strong, convincing voice. I remember one review of the podcast says it sounds like I'm on like sleeping pills.
Oh yeah, I guess that's true. I guess a lot of people do hate your voice.
Yeah. I think the strong, convincing voice part is telling.
So this guy was kind of like a Morgan Freeman type? Is that strong and convincing?
Well, now that you've said that, I am now picturing him as Morgan Freeman. His scam was pretending to be Adolf Hitler, mailing people, and asking for money.
That's a good scam.
It was a good scam. It was such a good scam that he made, over the course of all of his scamming, he made $15,000, which, adjusted for inflation, that's about $228,000 in today's money.
That's almost $300,000 in today's money.
Yeah, so he was kind of crushing it with this scheme. And so some historical context for this scheme and why it worked. I mean, nothing can really explain how it worked because it's crazy. But at the time, it was very common to think that Hitler was still alive. American newspapers reported on like crazy stories that Hitler was like digging tunnels in Kentucky. And the Soviets were openly saying that Hitler was alive as part of their like psyop. Even though they knew he was dead. But Stalin was just tricking everyone because that's just the kind of guy that he was. But Johnson's mail scam was he asked for money for like his basically his like Nazi army.
The Fourth Reich.
Yeah. or he called himself Führer number 1 in a lot of his letters. And he would say, hey, you know, I need a few dollars. We're planning a big comeback. I'm alive. I'm in Kentucky. Eva Braun is here too. We both escaped.
She says hi.
She's here. We're going to take over America. That was like phase 1.
That's a good phase 1. That accomplishes a lot. I can't imagine what phase 2 is.
So phase 1, secret tunnels to Washington, D.C., so that they could pop out right next to the White House. They had a big Nazi army of 36,000 people, and then they would take over. And then phase 2 would be to basically get back to what Hitler was up to in the beginning, so they would take over the world. Then there was phase 3.
Oh.
No joke. He told people that he was planning on taking over space as well.
I mean, they at least went to the moon. They have a moon base. That's common knowledge.
People bought this.
Wait, he sent those letters to Americans?
Yes, these were letters that he sent to Americans, mostly in Kentucky.
And the Kentuckian, what are they called? Kentuckians? Kentucksters? Yes. They were like, oh yeah, we like Hitler. He's cool.
Yes. People wanted to support the Fourth Reich, and people sent him money.
It was pretty unfair what they did to you back in World War II a couple years ago. I'll help you out.
Exactly. Which I think, on a bit of a side note, I think this kind of goes to show that people say like, "Hey, we went from beating the Nazis to having Nazi kids posting on the internet, videos about like statues and like, little dark ages playing. What happened?" This pretty much shows that there were always some Nazis around.
Yeah, didn't they like turn away the Jews that were escaping from the Holocaust in New York?
I think there was something like that. I've not read too much about that, but something like that happened, yeah.
I don't think that America was too partial to Jews either. I think maybe the Holocaust was taking it a bit too far, according to most Americans.
Well, yeah, but there were some people sending this guy money who were totally on board. But then he also said that in order to evade detection, he was driving around in an invisible taxi cab. This is what he literally wrote to people. And he said that he was building an invisible spaceship and atomic bombs.
Invisible atomic bombs?
The atomic bombs were visible.
Okay.
Yeah.
How are they being delivered? In invisible planes or visible planes?
I mean, I don't know, but he may have written about invisible planes too. Like literally like Wonder Woman. Like that's how ridiculous it was.
But in Wonder Woman, she's visible inside the invisible plane. So if he had an army of like 40,000 Nazis, they would all be visible inside the invisible rocket, and it would look kind of silly.
Would Hitler also be visible inside of his invisible cab, just like floating around?
There goes Hitler speeding across Kentucky. He's sitting down, just hovering, going really fast.
Oh my God. He promised the top donors that they would be Führer number 2 and Führer number 3 in his Reich.
Those were the top Patreon tiers for Hitler back then.
Yeah. And he promised other stuff too to the investors. He said there would be like you'd get land, you'd get royal palaces, and you would get diplomat virgins.
What does that mean?
I don't know what that means. This was not elaborated on anywhere, but there would be diplomat virgins.
As in they've never done diplomacy before, or they were diplomats that happened to be virgins?
I'm thinking it's the latter.
I think the first one would be funnier. Yeah.
It would be. So he made a lot of money with this, basically getting American Nazi sympathizers to send him money. Until 1956, Johnson was arrested, and he was charged with 3 federal counts of using the mail to defraud people. And he was detained in Pineville, Kentucky, in the county jail, on a $2,500 bond, which is huge at the time.
That's like over $50. in today's money.
Way over $50 in Biden's sliding Biden's inflation economy. There was a short article posted about him in the local paper that just said, "Man disclaims he is Hitler."
Did they include a picture? I feel like the picture would have helped the article. It would have made it more sensational. Because if it was a black guy that was like, "Yeah, I'm not Hitler. I lied. I'm sorry."
I wish there had been a picture, because then we would know what this guy looked like, but we don't.
Let's just say he looks like Morgan Freeman.
I'm already there. I'm already imagining him as Morgan Freeman. And the reason he got caught was because there was this old guy named Huber who died, and then his kids were sort of looking through his house and everything, and they discovered that he had sent $10,000 of today's money. I'm just going with today's money. So he sent 10 grand to a guy claiming to be Hitler, and until he died, they had no idea about any of this.
Oh no, our dad was a Nazi.
Not only was Dad a Nazi, Dad thought he was actively funding the Fourth Reich and the Space Galactic Reich.
I mean, that does sound kind of cool. The Space Galactic Reich.
Dad blew our inheritance trying to secure his position as a Nazi space commander. How would that feel? I mean, this reminds me of, I know someone in real life who, like, him and his family are like always trying to talk their grandma out of investing in this like Iraqi dinari currency, like Forex scam. Have you heard about that?
I can't say I have.
Oh, it's basically this big scam where, like,
is it run out of Kentucky?
I don't know. But it's like it's basically like tricking old people into buying like Iraqi currency, because like when Trump takes over or something, it's gonna be worth like $1 zillion. I don't know the exact details. But anyway, this grandpa, they found tons of letters he'd sent to Johnson. They found like 200 letters, and their grandpa had been promised the position of Führer number 2. That's big. And he'd also been promised a commander position. And they later found out that Johnson had met Grandpa in real life, and Grandpa had talked about how, he thought Hitler was alive. He thought Hitler was in Kentucky because of all these crazy like conspiracies that were floating around at the time. And it's thought that this might have been the beginning of the scam. Like, this might have been what gave Johnson the idea to start this whole mail fraud campaign.
Oh, so he wasn't cosplaying as Hitler when they first met.
No, he met as just Johnson.
Oh, okay. Because I feel like, the old guy would probably catch on if he saw that the guy he thought was Hitler was an African American.
He's like, I have a tan at the moment, but I assure you, I'm very much Austrian. So basically, the family told the police about this, and then the police caught Johnson by sending him a money order. And so then when Johnson went to cash it, they found the bank and they found his identity and stuff. And they also identified another target of this scam who, no joke, was named Charlie Brown. And Charlie Brown was also black. And he was the other big donor. Charlie Brown sent him $11,000 of today's money over the course of his whole scam. Despite Charlie Brown being like basically like a broke guy who lived in like a 1-bedroom like shack in Kentucky.
But he was gonna be the second, the number 2 Nazi.
Well, actually, he was actually going to be the number 3.
Oh, I'm sorry, number 3 Nazi in the Fourth Reich.
Yes. Charlie Brown was promised the title of Führer number 3. That's a sentence that is like real. Charlie Brown was promised the position of Führer number 3. And he was also given the governorship of large territory, his own palace, and his choice of diplomat virgins. One of Johnson's letters to Charlie Brown said, quote, he would be able to, quote, take a wife of our peoples to hand down German rulers to rule their race. So this is a black man pretending to be Hitler, mailing a black Nazi, talking about the future of the Fourth Reich. It's literally like something from the Boondocks, but it like really happened.
So Hitler said that Charlie Brown was gonna race mix with like an Aryan lady to have like a half Aryan to rule over black people in the future.
Well, I don't think Charlie Brown told him that he was black.
Yeah, I feel like maybe when Hitler met Charlie Brown, there might have been some sort of, barrier there that would have stopped him from becoming the third Führer.
Wait, I was wrong. Charlie Brown did tell the man he thought was Hitler that he was black, because Johnson wrote to the grandpa. He wrote this, quote, "You is the next in line of great leaders to lead Germany and rule the world, in which I am proud to say, also I am going to make our colored friend, Brown, assistant world ruler for his bravery act of last week."
How'd the old guy take that?
I could not find out. I'm getting all of this from like very limited sources, unfortunately, and it did not say how the grandpa reacted. And what's also very funny about this is that Johnson really made no effort to try to sound like Hitler. I mean, it starts off, "You is the next in line." He's talking like a typical like Southern bumpkin.
English isn't Hitler's first language, okay?
That's true, but it's funny that these people are imagining Hitler talking like a redneck.
If he went from World War II and then the bunker to Kentucky, and that's how he learned English, he's probably going to talk like a redneck.
I guess that actually does make sense within the logic of this
it makes
this
perfect
fantasy
sense.
world. But for historical, just for historical context, Hitler did not speak English. Not that that's the biggest problem with this, but I just thought I'd throw that out there. Hitler did not speak or read any other languages.
Yet.
He also wrote letters as some other people, like other Nazis. He would write as Eva Braun sometimes.
Also with a Kentucky dialect.
Yes. One of his Eva Braun letters said, quote, "Send a sport coat and a pair of white shoes size 11. It is necessary for Adolf to dress sporty so he won't be recognized."
Everyone knows Adolf Hitler wasn't sporty. That's how he disguised.
Exactly. So if you saw a guy who looked like Hitler but he had like white shoes on,
he's too sporty to be Hitler.
This guy looks just like Hitler, but this is not how Hitler would dress here in Kentucky, so it's
Hitler wouldn't wear a sports coat.
So Johnson would dodge like IRL meetup attempts. Who wouldn't want to meet Hitler? And he would say, "Oh, I'm sick, I can't come." Or he would say, like, "I have to avoid the FBI, I'm hiding out right now." So like a typical like catfish, he had to come up with all these excuses as to why they could not meet in real life. Then, when he went to court for massive mail fraud, he pleaded guilty. However, he said that he was not a scammer. He said that he was a private detective that was looking for subversives who were trying to take down the U.S. government. That was sort of his defense.
So I assume he gave them like a list of all the people that were secret Nazis sending him money, and then they let him go.
Sadly, that is not how the story went at all. He then went before a federal grand jury, and he was indicted on 3 counts of mail fraud. And at the federal hearing, he stepped up his defense. He brought a detective badge. And he said that, what I was really doing was I was working with the FBI. I was trying to break this case for the FBI. He said, 10 years ago, J. Edgar Hoover came to my house personally and told me about all this. And J. Edgar Hoover is the one who wanted me to help collect all this money and find all these Nazis.
We know now today that was true. That has been declassified. We know that J. Edgar Hoover did in fact go to Kentucky. He talked to this guy who pretended to be Hitler, and he did hire him on behalf of the FBI.
Well, while we have contacts in the FBI, this was a little bit before our time. So I don't know if we can say for sure. I don't have any insider knowledge on this. However, would it be the wackiest thing the government has done if this guy was telling the truth? No. The government has legitimately done weirder things than this. So while there's no like real evidence that he was actually working for the FBI, I don't think you can say there's a 0% chance he was in fact working with the FBI.
I'd say it's probably like an 80% chance at least.
This is something that maybe we could look into more. But then so nobody bought that. So then he sort of changed his story again. He said, all right, look, he had a second badge that said Secret Service on it. And he took it out in court. This was a big reveal. He's like, here's the second badge. And he said, I graduated from a Chicago Secret Service correspondence school.
By mail.
Yeah.
You became Secret Service member by mail. Okay.
Yeah. And he said, I'm working for a mystery Chicago company. I don't know who they are, but they hired me to write these letters. And I went along with it because I wanted to know if Hitler was really alive. Like, I wanted to get to the bottom of this mystery.
So it was all just part of some bigger plot. There's a player we don't know about from Chicago who pretended to give him Secret Service clearance to pretend to be Hitler, but then the J. Edgar Hoover story was a lie, of course, because he's working for a shadow corporation.
Yes, that is what he said. Now, the trial got even more amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Charlie Brown returns. Charlie Brown comes to the federal trial as a character witness in support of Johnson. At this point, Charlie Brown knows it was a scam. He knows there's no Hitler. But he goes up in court and he says, this Johnson guy, he may have scammed me, but
he gave me hope.
No, he said, he helped me in my time of need. No, he said, Johnson may have scammed me, but he sent me some of my money back. And so that's how I know that he's a good guy and he should not go to jail.
What?
So you have a black man on trial for impersonating Hitler. His black target shows up and tells the court to let him go.
He gave back some of the money. So that's how you know he's a good guy. He sent back a couple dollars.
Which apparently he really did. He really did send some money back to Charlie Brown.
Why?
Possibly because Charlie Brown was like totally broke. It said when the police found him, he had like no money and he had one can of beans in his house. That was it.
Should have sent that to Hitler too. He was really dedicated.
Hitler, I need you to take these beans.
Hitler, please accept these beans on behalf of the third Führer.
If you're listening to this and you're like, this cannot be real, please just Google William Henry Johnson Hitler. I swear this is all real. I'll put the article in the description too. There's like one article on the whole internet that talks about this guy. It's amazing. This guy is an American hero to me. I'm not even joking about that.
There's also like the countless government files that we have access to, but we're not technically allowed to like read those here. So
those are not going to be the description.
Yeah.
But basically, the jury did not care about this because they were racist chuds. And so Johnson got 9 years in prison.
That's pretty light for what he did, I guess.
No, I think it's too harsh. 9 years?
I think you should get life if you pretend to be Hitler.
But think about it like this. All he did was scam people who wanted Hitler to come back and take over not just the world, but the galaxy. Think about that.
I'm thinking. Yeah, it was still pretty bad. Especially because he lied to like a federal grand jury like multiple times about it.
Yes, he did do that.
That's what we call perjury.
Okay, yes, he did that. Yes, it was a lot of money. But for me, I have come to view him as being an American hero and a civil rights hero. Maybe not in the same league as a Martin Luther King.
But definitely above Rosa Parks.
Is he? Yes. I would say I would put him above Rosa Parks.
So MLK, Black Hitler, Rosa Parks, Malcolm X.
Does Johnson need a statue? I'm not going to go as far to say he needs a statue, but what I would like, and I'm going to start a GoFundMe for this. I think he should have a plaque at the Kentucky courthouse where he was sentenced, saying, this guy was a hero. This guy was ahead of his time in a big way, and it should have a portrait of him, very tasteful.
Nude.
And I would like Biden to issue a presidential pardon for him.
I think Trump will do that. Trump will do that in like 2 years.
I would like to see a presidential pardon. I don't think we're going to get one, but I will start a petition. I will start a GoFundMe, and I expect everyone who listens to this podcast to sign it in support of a hero.
Please support our Black Hitler Fund on GoFundMe.
No, the William Henry Johnson Fund.
I'm sorry.
I don't want people thinking that this is something bad.
I mean, but it's more sensational if you just say Black Hitler.
It'll
get more attention.
Should that be the name of this episode? Just this is Black Hitler?
Yeah.
Yeah, it probably should.
So what happened to William Benjamin Johnson?
Sadly, there is no record of him after the trial. Pretty much everything we know about him comes from this trial and the letters. He disappears from history after
Died
this.
in prison. They didn't take too kindly to Hitler.
He got shanked.
Yeah.
By Jews, Jewish prison gang.
If you think what they do to pedophiles in prison is bad, you should see what they did to Black Hitler.
A 1950s Jewish prison gang stabbed him. The Jewish mafia got him.
His cellmate was Jewish. He didn't like that.
I would even go as far as to say that this guy is one of the original victims of cancel culture. Would you agree with that?
I'm not sure going to federal prison counts as getting canceled.
He was, listen, in the 40s and the 50s, it was not easy to be a black man in Kentucky. The way
That's
I
true.
see it, he pretty much had no choice but to create an elaborate scheme where he pretended to be Hitler and defrauded people.
That was just a side hustle.
He's in the coal mining, bar or whatever, and he's like, "Yeah, I got a side hustle going. You guys, what, you guys are just mining? What are you guys, suckers?"
I'm gonna get mine.
I really think this guy was ahead of his time.
We should just bring back his scam. Just do it again.
Would it work?
No, we'd probably go to federal prison also pretty quickly.
It's funny that you say we should bring it back, because after reading about this hero, I was sort of wondering, what's sort of the modern day equivalent of this? What's going on today that's like this? And there is a man named Joshua Hall who was a DoorDash delivery driver in 2021. And he pretended to be different members of the Trump family to get people to send him money. And he did get a bunch of money doing this, saying "Oh, I'm Melania Trump, send money here to make America great again.
While he was door dashing, like, I'm at the Wendy's and waiting for order. By the way, I'm also Melania Trump.
No, the door dashing was unrelated. That was his day job. That was his like coal mining, and then his side hustle was pretending to be the Trumps on the internet.
I see.
He did not make as much money as Johnson. Obviously, Johnson is way cooler than this guy. I would not say this guy is an American hero, but it is interesting. He is currently facing 22 years if all of the accounts he's being, or all the stuff he's being charged with sticks. He will go to jail for way longer than Johnson, which is funny because he didn't make almost any money compared to Johnson.
Probably did less of a crime than Johnson. More jail time though.
Yeah, I mean this kid, it's funny. I don't think he should have a plaque or anything, but it is funny that he was basically just like on Twitter saying like, "Hello guys, it's me, Baron Trump." Like that's one of the people he pretended to be. It's me, Baron Trump. Please send me money. Thank you. And then people sent him money.
Why would the Trumps need money?
Well, they do. I'll get to some of that later, actually.
All right.
Because I'll get to that later. But there was also a scam called Trump Bucks. Did you hear about Trump Bucks?
Like a cryptocurrency?
No, that would actually make more sense.
What is it? Is it just monopoly money that they're like, when Trump comes back, this is going to be worth tons. He can redeem it for cool prizes like shirts or lanyards.
You're only off by one thing. They said you could. They said you could cash it in. You wouldn't get lanyards. You would get like $1 million.
But I want lanyards. I want Trump. I want exclusive Trump lanyards.
I'm sure that there is something like that you can buy on like the Trump official fundraising website.
It's not exclusive with Trump bucks though.
But the Trump bucks were basically like it was some. I don't think they caught the person who actually created Trump bucks.
It was Donald Trump.
It was basically like, hey, if you buy the Trump bucks for like, it wasn't that much money. It was like $50 for Trump bucks. Then go to the bank. They give you like $5,000.
Right. That's how.
And people heard that and they were like, oh, that's real. That's a real thing that makes sense. And they bought all these Trump bucks. I was reading this article and there was like a bank where they were turning away like a bunch of people. It was in like Alabama or something. They were like, you're like the 5th person today who's coming trying to cash in Trump bucks. I'm not giving you any money.
Tape up a sign to like the door. No Trump bucks. We do not redeem Trump bucks.
So that was, again, not as cool as Johnson. Does not have as good of a lore. But I did think that was pretty funny.
Can we get a statsponconpod bucks?
We should create that.
Can we have a crypto? Let's get our small podcast a crypto. Let's rug pull our like 3 listeners for like $20.
Please email us if you think that we should create our own cryptocurrency.
Let us know if you'd like to be rug pulled. If you'd like to be scammed for $34.
Yeah, email us or message us on Twitter if you would be interested in that. I didn't think of that. You have a good brain for like marketing and stuff
and losing money. Yeah, I have all sorts of ideas for spending your money.
No, spending the federal government's money.
Yeah, I don't know if our listeners know this though, but I got demoted. You're the only one who deals with the government like legally now. I don't think I'm even supposed to be here in this government building.
You have been, your clearance status is questionable.
It's iffy.
Yeah, and you were demoted to sort of co-host status.
Yeah, I technically don't have any contact with the government at this point, but just through Agent what's your name? Friggin' Charles Barkley or something.
You have missed out on some wild meetings. I will tell you that right now. But I also stumbled across something called Trump coins.
Now that sounds like crypto.
Now, Trump coins, again, also surprisingly not crypto.
Just coins.
These were commemorative coins.
Are they chocolate coins?
No.
Damn.
You can't even eat them.
There's no value into any of these things.
What the scammers did was they created fake accounts on Telegram, which is, I don't know, like right-wing Twitter or Instagram, essentially. And basically, they created these fake accounts that were like Mel Gibson, Clint Eastwood. And then they would say like, hey, now is the time to buy these Trump coins. They will be like an important marker for the future. Like, there's going to be people with Trump coins, and there's going to be people without Trump coins. Okay?
Those without, they're getting genocided. 2025, you're gone.
You do not want to be left out of this.
If you're not holding a Trump coin at the end of this, say hello to China, buddy.
See you later.
This ain't Joe Biden's America anymore.
Now, my favorite was Trump cards. And the big distinguishing factor of Trump cards...
Those are official.
Yeah.
I know about Trump cards. Those are official Trump NFTs.
These actually are not the NFTs.
There's a different Trump NFT?
The Trump NFTs... Oh my gosh, I wasn't even going to talk about the Trump NFTs. Trump did have his own line of NFTs, in case you did not know about this. But those were actually not... Those were not part of like a Trump fundraising thing, believe it or not. What the NFT line was a separate NFT company basically approached Donald Trump and said, "Can we license your image?" Which is actually what Donald Trump's like business model has been forever. He basically just licenses the Trump name for different hotels and casinos and whatever. So an NFT company did that and sold those amazing NFTs and got him to record that commercial.
We own approximately 30% of those NFTs. And
the value is going to go up.
Yeah, between you and I think over the next 4 years, we're going to become billionaires. We won't be doing this podcast.
No, we're going to be...
We'll be richer than Elon Musk.
We'll be retired, and we will not be on the internet doing this.
We'll be chilling with Trump.
Who will be alive in 50 years. The Trump cards, however, were physical cards that the actual Trump fundraising organization, well, one of them, sold. And they basically looked like little credit cards. In fact, they look exactly like credit cards. Clearly because they're trying to trick people into thinking that it gives you money. But they have things all over the website that say like no cash value or whatever, so that they can't be held legally responsible for selling what is essentially something that looks exactly like a credit card.
When you buy a Trump card, you're going to wish you got that lanyard instead, because that's worth more than a piece of paper.
I would take a lanyard. But the original site for the original red card drop, originally they were red, and the site said, "We know President Trump will be excited to see what you thought. Rush in a contribution of any amount immediately to guarantee he sees your response first."
That's a good call to action. I feel like that worked pretty well.
It is good, and it basically implies that Donald Trump himself is personally overseeing these cards.
Did Trump design the cards?
Well, clearly he's very intimately involved. So then now they have the gold cards. The ones you can buy now are gold, and they're $99.99.
That's almost $100.
Not quite, but and the actual site where you can buy these cards does not have too much information on it. However, I found a sponsored article in the Kitsap Daily, which is a local Washington State newspaper, and it's basically a SponCon, sponsored content, as the kids say these days.
That sounds too close to our podcast. Don't say SponCon.
I realized that like recently when I was thinking about the name, but basically this article was written by someone from like the Trump like fundraising organization, and it is amazing.
Under the Biden administration, we are not really allowed to endorse the Trump cards, but you know, on the DL, get those Trump cards now. You're gonna want them.
So the article starts off with this line, which is probably my favorite line of the whole article. It says, "Business cards are the developed world's opium." What do you make of that?
I watched American Psycho. I feel like I understand what they mean by that.
Exactly. It sounds like a line from American Psycho, but I feel like business cards have actually never been less relevant. I don't think they could be described as the opium of the developed world at this time.
I don't think I've been handed a business card in about 5 years, so...
That's their big selling point here. It's also not a business card, by the way.
Right.
The Trump card. So, anyway, it continues. Business cards are the developed world's opium. They are used to make business contacts. The same is true for the Golden Trump 2021 card. The one-of-a-kind card is a high-quality foil card featuring Donald Trump, the former president of the United States. The card is made from high-quality, environmentally friendly paper. It is also beautifully printed and has sharp edges for compactness.
That's a really good way to describe a card.
Yeah, I mean, it's literally just a card, like a Pokemon card.
So sexy and sleek, and it's sharp and paper.
Let's see Patrick's Trump card. It has environmentally friendly paper, apparently, which I feel like the sort of person who is going to buy a Trump card would not care about that, right?
No, I feel like they like the environment enough to get a piece of paper.
They're gonna, like, when they see this, they're gonna be like, well, I don't want to waste paper.
They already made the card. I don't want to waste it. I'm gonna get the card. I don't want to waste the paper. They already made the paper.
That's true. I mean, I guess in that sense, it is environmentally friendly. I mean,
it's recycling. If you buy a product that was already made, it's recycling to buy it, because then you have it and it's being reused by you instead of just sitting on a shelf.
You need to become like one of those like TikTok influencers who's all about like reusability and like turning cups into like nightstands.
Or using cups as a cup. And then you reuse it by giving it a new use, which is putting it in the garbage can. And that's how it's being reused, as garbage.
I hope our listeners like realize the amount of knowledge we drop on them every episode. Now, the article goes on. The card is endorsed by the majority of Trump's 74 million supporters as the best symbol of their support for the former president. Most Trump supporters believe that the elegant and stylish gold foil card is the best gift they can give to their family and friends. The card is intended to make all Trump supporters happy. I'm directly quoting this article.
It's a good article.
I mean, it really could not get any crazier than this.
I feel like the best like icon of support for Donald Trump would just still be the MAGA hat, right? That's probably the most recognizable Trump thing there is.
You're right.
If somebody pulled out a golden Trump card, I'd be really confused. I'd be like, what is that? I would have to get up close and look at it to be like, what is this? And then they try to explain it to me. I still wouldn't get it. If they wore a MAGA hat, I'd be like, oh, okay. He's like Donald Trump.
You're right. How can they say this is, quote, the best symbol of their support when he already has the hat? It just... Now, this is another... It goes on to say, the Golden Trump 2024 memorial card exceeds all quality standards. The long-lasting material will keep the card working for you for many years, possibly longer than you can imagine.
What do they mean working? So...
I don't know, because it doesn't do anything. It's just a card. It's like
right.
A Pokemon card. But it will keep working for you, maybe for longer than you can imagine. I mean, how long is that?
Until you lose it, I guess. It's just a piece of paper.
Then the last thing they say in the article is that buyers can contact customer service representatives at any time of day or night.
In India.
And I don't know what the hell you would call customer service about.
My card's not working. It's not working.
My piece of paper is not working.
I'm trying to show people and it doesn't work. They don't recognize it.
People are confused that I'm waving a golden card in front of their face and
I'm trying to get into the White House. I'm trying to show them the card. They don't get it.
I tried to use it as a room key at Trump Hotel, and now I'm not being let in.
I'm trying to purchase my dinner at Outback Steakhouse with the card. It's not working.
It's been declined at Cracker Barrel. Can you please come bail me out?
Can you tell Trump to get on the phone with me immediately? Maybe what it's supposed to be is that if you suspect somebody is also really into Trump, but they don't have the MAGA hat on, you just slowly peek out the card out of your wallet or something, kind of flash it at them because with the foil, and they're like, oh my god, and so they pull out their card and they flash it back, and you guys do a full reveal and you show each other your Trump cards, your exclusive golden foil Trump cards, and you're like, hell yeah, brother. And that's it. That's $100 experience to me.
That would be. I do think that would be the best use for this card.
But it's still wouldn't work better than the
Trump card.
It wouldn't work better than the MAGA hat.
No, it would not.
And the hat is also way cheaper than a card.
I'm gonna look up how much the hat is. Let's see. Can
we just order a couple boxes of MAGA hats to the office here?
Where's the official one? This is all Amazon.
It doesn't matter where you get it from.
Yeah, it does, because the money is either going to go to a scammer or it's going to go to saving America by helping Donald Trump.
You want it to go straight to his account.
Okay, my quick search revealed 10 million places to buy the hat, so I give up immediately.
But there's only one place to get the Trump card. So there you go.
Yeah. Well, actually, there's a lot, because there's a lot of imposters. But there's only one place to get the official Trump card. And on that official site, one thing that's kind of funny is that they have sort of highlighted 5-star reviews, which pretty much every online store has this.
Which should be legal.
It should be, yeah. But what's funny is that nowhere on the site can you actually leave a review. So it's they're the most obviously fake reviews possible, because you can't even leave a review.
Maybe you have to call the customer service and leave the review with...
Sadly, there is no number you can call, because I wanted to call them and record it, because I thought that'd be funny, but they only have an email.
Oh, so you just email in your review to customer service, they'll post it.
Just unprompted email them to hey, I really like my Trump card.
I would like my review on the website, please. My 5-star review for the Trump card.
The reviews are all I bought them for my whole family. Everyone loved them. I got one for my husband. He approved.
I'm expecting my first grandchild in a couple months. I already got him a whole deck of Trump cards for when he grows up. He's gonna love them.
Now, that's really all I have to say about Johnson, who's an American hero, and the most sort of relevant modern day equivalents, which are Trump shenanigans. Now I'd like to talk about something else.
Something serious.
That kind of made it sound like this is about to become a PSA, a very special episode.
Listen, folks, cancer is not a funny subject.
But no, we did not do a review of the interview with Sam the Illusionist. So I thought, you should probably give your thoughts on that.
I didn't really listen to it.
Which brings me to my real point. Now, I look at, obviously, we're funded by the government, but the thing is, that doesn't mean I don't look at the ratings. I get a big paycheck from Uncle Sam, but I still pay attention to the ratings because they expect me to be, putting this propaganda out there, fooling people, disinfoing things. So I do look at the ratings. And I noticed that you people, the listeners, are not super interested in the interviews. And I understand where you're coming from because I listened to them all back and I realized that although they were very funny to me in like a meta sort of way, they're a bit much. Would you agree with that?
No, I liked them. I mean, granted, I didn't listen to the third one because I was kind of bored of the interviews. So, no, yeah, I guess I see your point now. It is a bit much.
I mean, I like them. And okay, if you didn't listen to them, which like basically like half of you did not. Basically, going off the numbers, like half of the regular listeners listened to them, like half did not. I think that they're pretty fun. They have funny moments, right?
I guess maybe they would have been better if they were just an inside joke between the two of us, and then we never release them.
We never post them.
Yeah, it's just for us.
That would be so funny. But I get it. You know, it's a lot to basically say, okay, here's a 45-minute interview with someone who thinks they're a mermaid, and large parts of the interview are them just going ham and just talking about how they're a mermaid and how there's Atlantis, and like I tried to make it funny, like by asking these weird questions about like Fatlantis and stuff, and I do think they have funny moments. And I do think you should all listen to all of the interviews in their entirety. However, I don't plan on doing more interviews at this time, really.
Unless we get a good poll, a big celebrity guest.
Yeah,
at least equivalent with Joe Biden. Joe Biden or somebody more popular than that.
That's the new threshold for guest popularity. Or we do an interview episode where it's mixed in with like a normal episode. You know, like there's parts of the interview and it's us talking and it's parts of the interview.
Let's do like one big interview, and then over the course of 45 episodes we release 1-minute chunks of that interview. So it's like you have to listen in every week for the code word to hear the 1-minute chunk of interview, and then by the end you'll be able to piece together the whole thing. It'll be great,
and it builds anticipation and hype.
We can make it an NFT of the interview, and then you have to coordinate with the other NFT holders to hear the whole interview.
Please email us or message us on Twitter if you would like us to create a 45-part NFT interview that you work together with the other listeners to create like a puzzle.
As long as we get to scam money out of you, it's it'll be good. It's a good idea.
Please email us ideas you have for us to scam you, the listeners. That's kind of what I wanted to say about the interviews. Listening to them, I realized, you know, the we've lost sort of the premise of the podcast has been lost.
I don't think we gained it back this episode either.
No, we did. Right?
I don't think there was a conspiracy element to any of this.
Well, it's tangentially. I can never say that word right. Tangentially connected to conspiracies. It's connected to conspiracies because it's connected to conspiracies about, you know, Hitler, how he didn't die. Which actually I kind of want to do an episode about Hitler just in general, though, because there's a lot of interesting history there.
I mean, he's in Hollow Earth. We already know
he's down there.
New Berlin.
I think we're back on track. But also, listen to the interviews. It's funny. It is funny, right? Yeah.
It's also kind of mean and cruel because he did lie to them about not being a government agent, and you kind of coerced them into an interview.
Okay, but I got all of them. I got all of them to laugh. I got all of them to break and laugh. Did you notice that?
I think it was more of a nervous laughter.
No, I think I got to all of them a little bit. Sam the Illusionist, I will say, just to sort of to wrap up Sam the Illusionist, he is the biggest guest we've gotten on. His channel, he gets like 50,000 views or something every time he drops a new alien channeling video. His Patreon, he makes like $2,000 a month on Patreon. I'm not even kidding. You can go look at that. He's big. So where am I going with this? My point is, he is not crazy. He is a scammer. Like, he knows what he's doing. He's making money. He's making money off YouTube.
We're officially starting beef with Sam the Illusionist. We're calling him out.
No. Sam the Illusionist is a friend of the show.
Okay. We're officially not beefing with Sam the Illusionist. He's not a scammer. He's crazy. Wait, what do I say here?
Wait. Maybe we should start beef with Sam the Illusionist.
Well, I mean, you already called him a scammer.
Should we go to war with Sam the Illusionist?
He'll send aliens after us.
Okay, you know what? I'm putting him on the enemies of the show list.
Amira, you're at the top of our friends list, and then whatever that other guy we interviewed was Bodacious John. You know what? But John, we're not gonna decide which list you're on yet. But Sam the Illusionist, you're on the enemies list.
Yeah, the enemies of the podcast are the Lemurian Fellowship, number 1. We're gonna get to them later. We're not done with them. Then Sam the Illusionist, and then sort of at like rank 0 on the friends list, like the super like untouchable best friend of the show, is Henry Johnson, American hero.
And anybody who emails us and likes our show is also on the friends list.
Yeah, you can be on the friends list by emailing us or rating the show 5 stars
or 0 stars, 1 star.
I think that's really all I have to say. I think we can wrap up here. What do you think?
I feel like we should have wrapped up probably 30 minutes ago. But yeah.
You know what? Last thing I'm going to say. This episode of State Sponsored Conspiracy Podcast is officially dedicated to the memory of Johnson, an American hero. I have nothing but respect for him. This goes out to him. Please email me if you know anything about him. There's very little to be found. The GoFundMe and the petition will be up soon. Thank you for listening.